Hi, welcome. Today we are going to learn how to create a workbook. The last time in lesson 1 we talked about how to identify cells, columns and rows. So I introduce you to some of the features of Excel, and then we talk about how to use the Excel help function, especially 2019. Some of you may be using the older versions. So one unique thing about the 2019 is, first time if you go there and then maybe you said how to add cells, and then you see here it give you results, about 10 results. You click on it and then it display the options, maybe ways to add values in a spreadsheet, and then it will give you the step-by-step guideline. And one other thing to notice, sometimes it will give you the examples depending on the versions you are using. There are some examples that can give you maybe in the 2013, 2016 or 2003 versions. Let's see if we can get something like that. For example, let's say refresh connected data. Let's see if refresh an external data connection. So let's see if so here we are. So we have the example for newer version, and then we get example for the 2016 version as well as 2010 and 2013. So this is one of the unique thing about using Excel 2019. And then also maybe when you're using maybe an older version of it, it can help you to get the necessary information that you need. Okay, that is it. Yes, so today, like I said, we're going to talk about how to create workbooks. Alright, so like I said before, when you open your Excel sheet, the first thing you see is book 1. Yeah, book 1. You can relabel it. We'll come to that later. But in this session, what's going to happen is, I hope to go as slow as I can so that you can follow me systematically. And I believe that at the end of this lesson, you'll be able to create a new workbook, as well as use values and labels, or maybe how to input date, or enter data into a range, or edit data, or if possible select data in ranges, or maybe select workbook components, or how to deselect cells. So this may take a while, but I'll do my best to go systematically. So like I said earlier, when you open your Excel, you get book 1, which display the sheet before you. So now let's see how we can create a new workbook from within the Excel application. And one interesting thing is, you can also open a new workbook from inside Excel. So if, let's say, we go to the sub menu where we have the new command. So if I go to the file tab and then we go to new command, you realize that here there are varieties of templates, like I told you earlier on, where you can select from series of templates, like maybe make up first pivot table, personal monthly income, seasonal photo calendar, household monthly budget. So these are various templates that can help you to prepare any accounting document or spreadsheet that you want to click on. So for instance, let's assume you want to start with a new blank workbook. So now what I'm going to do is, first, like I said earlier, I want it to be systematic. So let's say I want to create a new blank book. So I come home, click on the new, and then when you click on new, then the next thing you want to do is to click on blank book. So now it's open. So what we have now is book 1, and one unique thing is that it's open on top of the existing workbook that I had earlier, as I demonstrated the last time. So obviously it will be book 2, maybe. Let me see if, because it was auto recover. So let's say you have book 1, just to avoid confusion. Here's book 1. Now let me open a new book and see what happens. Now I have book 2. Okay, so that's open over the existing one, book 1. So book 1 is still there, and then you have your book 2, so you can open different Excel workbooks. So now let's try to build some worksheet by entering data that maybe store, should I say, maybe daily figures, or maybe let's say maybe list of employees in your company, or maybe even shopping list. So to do that, we just go to our first cell. Yeah, like I said earlier, whenever you click on it, you see the cell name and number being displayed, cell A1. So, and this is the cell label, cell A1. So now what's going to happen is that this cell A1, you can type anything in it. Like maybe let's say you want to create a table, so you want to give it maybe a kind of a label. Alright, so let's say how should I even say, let me see, let's put something like, let's just put a name. Let's say, okay, let's assume you are into business, so let's say week 1 figures, week 1 figures. So now you see that we entered it in cell A1. So in order to confirm what you have done, you just press enter. So if you press enter on the keyboard, then it stays there. Sorry, I make some mistake. It shall be figures, right? Yes, but we'll talk about this editing cells later on. Yeah, you can decide to double click and make the changes here, or sometimes you come here and make the changes, and when you make the changes, it reflects over there. But we'll go into detail later on after it. So yeah, just for clarity, maybe let's do it again. So and we enter something like week, maybe week 1. Yeah, let's to make it easier. So week 1, you want to do something, maybe something, give it a full label, help you to remember what you're actually working on. So maybe let me put like week 1 budget instead of the figures like I did earlier. Then you press enter, it confirms. So it confirms by the cell indicator moving down. So now you see that it has moved down to A2. So it confirms that label, so you have that label there. Okay, so now let's say maybe we want to create a second label. Let's call it maybe, let me just create this. Let's go to cell A3. Let's call it maybe income. Enter. So that is confirmed. So it's confirmed. And one other thing too is, sometimes instead of enter, maybe if you press it, you can click the arrow here to confirm. So maybe for clarity purpose, let's try again. So we can click the arrow here to confirm, so that confirms it. Yeah, because it's now grayed out, it confirms it. Yeah, the only thing about this one is when you do that, the cell indicator does not move automatically, so you have to click maybe where you want to type your next item. The next thing is, let's say for instance, we have income, maybe let's say expenditure, then maybe enter, and then that make it, and then maybe the next item you want to type is miscellaneous. Maybe I just make it short form, enter. And one thing you should notice also is that when you type in a cell, sometimes it overlaps into a second cell as if it's kind of gone into that cell, but actually it remains within that cell, it doesn't overlap. So for instance, if you click there, you realize that there's nothing there, so it's just as if it's gone into the second, but it hasn't. Sometimes you can decide to enlarge to accommodate it, if you don't want to. Sometimes what happens is that if, let's say, it has overlaps, if you type something here, you realize that it's gone back into its cell, so it doesn't affect the other cell unless you make it so. But I think we'll go into detail on that later on. What you can also do is you can enter a date into a cell if you want to, and there are various date formats. Maybe let's say January 1, 2014, or maybe January 1, 2020. Right now we are in, let's say, August. So August 1, 2020, or maybe 1820, with that slash, or maybe 1st January 2020. So any format, it will accept it. So let's give it a try and see how happens. So now let's come to, maybe let's say cell C3. In cell C3, so yeah, let's type maybe let's say 1st August. So maybe short on 1st August. So maybe I can do 1st and August. 1st August. Yeah, I've shortened it. Alright. Okay, let me see if I type the full one. 1st August, and then maybe enter. So you see that he accepts it. And one thing too is it has an automated way of trying to correct it, but you can edit it. We'll do that later on. Alright. One interesting thing about it is, for instance, if you click on it, you will notice that in the formula bar, yeah, we call this the formula bar, it has written 1st August 2020, with a slash format. Meanwhile here it has brought 01-OUG, so now what is happening is when you enter maybe 1st August like we did, or even if I enter August, maybe August 1, if I enter, you realize that the same thing happened, but is what we have here. Same thing, so what is happening is that SL automatically assumes the current year to store the data, but displays the format that you selected in the cell. And then there's another format that you could use like we did, which assumes the first day of the month. So that's one unique thing about SL. But you can always change this the way you like, and maybe we'll come to that later on. So, and one thing you should also notice is that when you type in date, they are automatically aligned to the right of the cell. See, it's automatic. If I were to type a word, the word will remain on the left, but date and numbers are automatically aligned to the right. Okay, so so back to what we were doing. So let's say, let me delete this. So let's say week 1 budget. So we say like week 1 beginning August. So maybe let me say August 1, and then maybe I press the right arrow on my keyboard. So I press the right arrow, and then maybe assume like 37 days. So maybe week 2 August 8. Wait, let's see. Oh, sorry. I think because I didn't spell it well. August 1. So right arrow, because I didn't spell it, but you guys should have automatic. Alright, that's it. So the next one is August 8th. I have to be careful now. Let's see, August 8th. Press right arrow, that automatically work it out. Let's see, maybe after 7 days, then maybe the next week budget. Where does it start from? Let's just put something like August 15, right? August 15. I hope I have the spelling right. Then right arrow. Just try to do weekly. This is just an assumption here. I don't have the calendar to look here, or maybe to make it easier, I could just consult the calendar just to be sure. That took a while. So let's say week 1 August 1. Obviously this year where I started is not appropriate, but should we say 3rd? Then let's say 3rd, 10, 17, 24. So 3rd, 10, 17, 24. So let's see, let's change this to 3. Oops. 3. So you enter. Should change that. What's happening? But so let's say the date is not in a way that you want, so maybe let's change it to the appropriate date that we can follow, because Excel has its own automatic format. So if you right click on the cell and then you go to format cells, so if you go to format cell, then here when you come, you see that it has the various date format that you may wanted. So you chose month and year. That's what probably we have it. So let's say we want our date to display shall I say day and month. Let's choose day and month. Obviously I've changed only one cell. If I want the change to affect these other cells, all I need to do is to bring the mouse to the end here where it turn it to a plus. I just drag it, so it automatically affect the other cells. So now we have the correct formatting. So looking back at our calendar, let me see. So we have 3rd, 10, 17, 24. 3rd, 10, 17, 24. So 3rd, and we come here, maybe we want to change it to 10. So that automatically changes, and then this to 17. 17. So now 24. I can just say August 24. Right arrow. That does it. Well, it's funny. What is happening is have to make this default, but for now the changes we apply here affected only here, it doesn't affect here, so let me just let the change affect it. Okay, so that affects it, but there's the option to make it default. We'll go into that later, but for now let's just try and focus on this. Okay, so now we have let's say we have our weekly budget, and then maybe we want to enter values. So income, yeah, on the 3rd of August, maybe whatever income, so that is C3. Maybe you want to type some income. We just try to figure out how much did you get that week. Let's say maybe in that week you have maybe some 3,000. 3,000. You can also decide the currency, but we'll talk about that later on. 3,000. Then maybe I think that's funny thing. What did I do? Stop writing date when I say match. You want to type numbers, not date anymore. I think the changes I made affected it. So what I need to do is to go back to the format and then just tell it that I just working with general numbers now. So it's normal numbers, which can be in decimal places. So just let it know I'm working with numbers. Let's see what we have here. Yeah. So now I'm telling the cell that look, I'm working with numbers now, not dates. This one was in 2 decimal places. These numbers, well, it's in 2 decimal places because of the setting I did, which I can let it affect this also. But to just type 55, 20, let me see. If I want to take off the decimal places, now if you come to the number command here to take off the decimal to decrease decimal. So now I don't have the decimal places. Let me see, 345. Next arrow, now I don't want decimal place. But in case you want decimal, maybe you have some pens in addition. So 2, 3, 4, maybe 5. You can just type 0.10. 0.1 to make it 0.1. But if you want your 2 decimal places, you can have your 0.10. So for uniform purpose, you can decide to maybe just add decimal places to make room for the piece. Not here, but actually sometimes we may be forced to do things which can be time consuming. So there are commands or conditional formatting that can be used for the changes to affect everything, so that you don't need to have to do them individually, because that can be time consuming. But in order not to rush you, we'll get there later as we go step by step and as you understand the principles. Well, other interesting thing too is let's say you can use the tab key to move to cells. Alright, for instance, if let's say, let me change this to 45660. If I press tab key, it'll move to the next cell. So instead of using the right arrow, we can use the tab key. I hope you guys know what the tab key is, because sometimes if maybe depending on your key setting, let's see, tab key, maybe tab key keyboard. Make it easier sometimes for you to know. You can use the ease of access. I just want to show we have an idea of what the tab key is. To make it easier, let me just use the ease of access. Alright, let me just get the on-screen keyboard where, so that in case you don't know what tab key is, you can, let's see, keyboard, use the on-screen keyboard. Let's see, here we are. Good. So this is the tab key. Yeah, it's sometimes depend on the keyboard layout, but it comes with some 2 arrows facing each other, opposite each other. Here, because it's written, and let's see, I was hoping to display the anyway, that's just sometimes depending on the keyboard, but I hope you guys can find tab key. If not, I have to Google it. The tab key is like on your keyboard. It's usually on top of caps lock. It's like 2 arrows going in the opposite direction. Yeah, so hope that helps. Yeah, so back to what we are doing. Yeah, so like I said, when you type here and then you use the tab key, you move. You can even use tab key to scroll through items, the tab key instead of the next arrow key, and the tab key can really be very fast. So one thing to sometimes when you get to the end here and maybe you want to come to the next page, maybe instead of clicking it, there's a quick way of doing it where we restrict the range, so that when you type in Excel, the cell indicator will automatically move to the next row, so that it becomes easier for you to do it. So one quick way is to select group of cells, so that Excel will restrict data entry into the selected range of cell. So now let's say maybe you want to enter the remaining values using this technique. So this is what we're going to do. You hold the shift key and press here, and then now it's within that range, so you just keep typing without necessarily moving the mouse. So maybe it's going to go column by column. So let's say 2, 1, 2, 3, tab key, 1, 2, 3, 5, 4, tab key, 4, 5, 6, 0, 8, tab key, 8, 4, 5, tab key, 6, 7, 8, tab key. You can do number, any number you want to put tab key, tab key. So that will be it. Make typing easier. You can even decide to also do it column. If you want to do it column by column instead of the row, you can use the enter key instead of tab key. So for instance, let me go back, let me clear this one, and then maybe let's use enter key and see. I should be using delete. Let's press the delete bar to delete everything. So now let's say select all and then delete to delete the figures. So now let me restrict the range again. So this is the pass range. So press the shift key, I press it. Now I leave it like that, and then maybe type in number 3, 5, 6, 0, 7, enter. So that go to the next row, right, instead of column. Yeah, so that's row. So enter, and then it go to the next row, enter, any number, enter. So you see that as you enter, it's go column by sorry, when you enter it does it. So let's say column by column, yeah, because it can, it's like in column. Yeah, so that is in columns. Yeah, when you use enter, it's in columns, but when you use row, when you use tab key, that go in row. yeah, you can practice. See, so when you use enter, you see what happens. And then if we were to use the tab key, you go, so the tab key, it will be moving this way, but if we use enter key, it will go like this. So depending on the way you want to enter your figure, you can do it, and then the range within which you want to restrict it. So when you do that, it's easier. Make sure that when you select your range, you don't click anywhere else, because once you click somewhere, it's easy to hold on to that range, or unless we lock it, but maybe we'll do that later. Because once you click somewhere, it's take off the range. So it means that if you add something else, it will, to come there. But if it were within range, it would not have continued because you have locked it to that range. Let me see something. So tab key, just tap in a key, tab key, just tap in a key, tab key, any number, tab key, any number. So now let's see, enter, any number, enter. You see all the enter does, enter any number. So enter, we go column by column, tab key, we go sideways, tab key, we go sideways, tab key. So you see that to keep working within that range, it will not go outside the range. Alright, so it will be moving with the enter key, it will be moving the column by column, and then tab key will be moving row by row. It's very important if you get this concept, because it will make typing easier for you, especially when you type in a large amount of figures. And then one thing is, sometimes if you see that you have made a mistake, you can always change the value in a cell. So maybe let's say you want to change the E4, maybe you made a mistake with our E4, so you click on it and then you can just type the new figure, and then you continue. So we can always edit any mistake that you may have made. Make that change, always double click it, and then you can just, if you want to change, or sometimes just clicking once if you want to change everything. But if you want to change maybe a specific value, maybe I want to change the 8 to 9, then I double click. If I want to change maybe 4 to 5, then I double click. So maybe I want to change the 4 to 5, so I double click, and then maybe I double click, and then I click behind the backspace, or click front and use the delete bar, and then I'll change it to 5. But if I want to change all the numbers in the cell, I click once and then type in anything I want. So that is it for entry values, and then within range and deleting values, maybe all values, using single click, or maybe specific number within a cell, then that's where you double click. In case maybe you want to increase this range, maybe you have more items, maybe more items that so let's see, you have more items. So one, you can just decide to just click on one of the empty cell. You click on it, so you left click, then you hold down the mouse and just drag to select all the range, and then you begin to type whatever you want to, using tab key or enter key. So you see that it will just work within the range you have selected. It will not go outside it, so you just keep typing. It will not go outside the range you have selected. And then if you want to delete this, just press delete key, everything is gone. So that's one way. So the other way too is to identify where they meet together. You then press a shift key and then you press it out. Should we click it? You should click here, yeah, the beginning of the empty cell where I want it to be, and then in the end, the edge. So shift key and then click it, and then I select it, or I can manually select the range to the end here, right? Yes. So when you type, it will remain within that range. So this is easier if you want to work with maybe a group of cells by selecting them. So sometimes you can decide to select a group of cells. Maybe let's say you want to select all these. You press the first one and then shift key. So you press shift key and then select the last one, and we select it together for you, like I said earlier. And then another alternative is to also use your mouse. You left click, hold it down, and then just drag it as far as you want, wherever you want to be. In that way you can select it as well. And one other unique thing to is within this selection you can also select individual cell. So if you want to select individual cell, you press Control key and then you click on that cell, so Control key, and then maybe you see that's where you can select individual cells as well. So that's also one unique thing about selecting individual cells. Okay, and then another thing too is if you want to select all the cells in a row, you just click this to select all. Or if you want to select all the cells in a column, you just click on it and you select all the cells in that column. Maybe you want to do some calculation with those specific cells, so you select all those range within that category. And then also similarly, maybe you want to select all the columns but maybe up to a specific range. So maybe you want to select this bar up to here. Alright, so to do that you just press the shift key and then you come and press there, so that selects that range. The same apply to the row, so maybe you press the beginning and then shift key and then you press, so that also select the range within which you want to select. And one also interesting thing is if you want to select group of maybe cells by column, so let's say maybe you want to select C and F separately. So now what you want to do is that if maybe you want to press C, so if you press column C, yeah, C, so the shift key, maybe decide where you want to, and now maybe you want to press let's say F. So if you want to press F, just press Control key, and then you can select your F as well. And then if you want to kind of restrict that range too, you press the shift key and then you select, and that restricts that as well. You can apply similar principle to the row. Maybe you want to restrict the range within the row. So maybe this my row, and then I want to restrict it to maybe August. So shift key and then you restrict it, and then maybe, so that's row 1. Let's say you want to select row 5. So in order for the first selection to be valid, you make sure you press Control key, and then that's row 5. So to restrict the range, you press the shift key and then you press the F5, and that restrict both. Sometimes we can use this to do advanced calculations. We'll come to that later on as well. If you want to cancel this selection, you can always click anywhere and then it will cancel it. So you just click anywhere and then it automatically deselect it. All these are the basics, but when we doing advanced calculations, you will get to better appreciate the importance of all these range selection techniques. And another shortcut that you can also use to select maybe a whole range of table. So let's say maybe this way our finger end, and maybe you want to select all this, because sometimes you can have a long distance and dragging with the mouse can be a problem. So you want to easily select that range. So here we can use the Shift Control plus End shortcut key. Sometimes it's so funny, yeah. So one thing, it automatically select where all the figures is. So now let me see, let me click maybe the first item we had here, which is income. Now Control Shift and then the end, right? So I'm looking for Control Shift and then the end key. So now it selects that entire range of table that I am working with. Sometimes maybe you just want to select that entire table and copy them and somehow transfer them. So depending on where you want to start from, maybe if I want to start from here and select all the table I've worked with so far, maybe sometimes let's say let me try and type some numbers here, maybe to see if it's kind of just typing in numbers. Did I mistake? Sometimes that's the thing. Yeah, typing so quick, and sometimes when you happen like that, you just press Control and then select that specific cell. So when you press Control and select that specific cell, then you can type whatever you want and continue doing what you want to do. What did I do again? Oh yeah, I seem not to be focused here this time. Well, anyway, yeah, I just need this one. So let me just select it and then maybe type. Yeah, maybe because I'm just typing using the arrow key instead of the enter, that's I keep making that mistake. But that's just a way of making sure you remain in range without breaking the range. So sometimes if you want to remain in range, not this way, not now. So you want it to remain in range while you work on it instead of start. So you press Control and then select individual one, and then maybe further change, and then maybe the tab key to continue whatever you're doing. Or you could have used the enter key. Press the arrow instead of enter key, sorry. So maybe Control this one, I change this, enter key, that goes to the beginning, and just keep doing enter. Okay, I could have just used the tab key to go there instead of the enter. Anyway, that is just, so I could have used tab key instead of having to go all the way around. Maybe if I want to come to the F5, we'll just use the tab key. Sometimes, yeah, these are things we do manually, which can be time consuming. Sometimes it's possible to write a command to do it for you, but that would be at the advanced level. Hopefully you'll get there someday. Yeah, so Control Shift, okay, you want to undo some, select it. So now Control Shift to select all this, so Control Shift End to select all. Maybe you want to start from here, so Control Shift and then End, and that selects all the table. Another unique way also, or let's say another shortcut now you can use to maybe select a specific range of cell, maybe from the first to the last on the row. So maybe let's say we want to select, maybe assume you have, or you want to select up to the end. So this one too, we use the Shift Control and then maybe the right arrow key. So Shift Control right arrow key plus right arrow key. So when you keep pressing, you see that to move. If I want to select all the column, so Shift Control down arrow. If you want to unselect, back Shift Control up arrow. Let's say maybe I want to select by row or the row, so Shift Control then right arrow to select all. So you keep clicking, and then maybe I want to select all the way up, so up arrow That's select. If you want to include more, keep pressing until I do that. Oops. I do. Yeah, on the way to the very end. Okay. So, what else? Let me see. Yeah, let's say here, Shift Control. You select it. Maybe you want to select down with the down arrow, or with the up arrow. Maybe this for down, up. And then if you want to deselect left arrow, right arrow, sometimes keep going. So you can use this to determine the range you want to work with. All these are very important for advanced calculations. One other easy way to select the entire table is also to click on the select all pattern. The select all pattern is located right here, this one. You select everything on the table. Sometimes maybe it's useful, maybe you want to copy the whole entire table. So you select every cell in the worksheet. Imagine you have millions of it. So that's for selecting all. Yeah, sometimes maybe you want to, if you have few data, then you don't need that one. You can easily use your mouse to select all this if you want to do that. This may look a bit complicated, but hopefully I hope you'll be able to get something here, some useful information here which can help. So I think I'll summarize this a bit so that maybe you can practice a bit on it. So what we have done is how to select range of cells using the shift and the control, and then the combination of control and the shift, how to select by row column or how to select by row. So I hope this also helps. And sometimes when you finish, you can decide to save by clicking on the save sign here or using Ctrl S. So maybe your file, and then you go to save, and then we select where you want to save, document desktop, and then if you click on it, maybe type the name you want to use, whatever name, and then I click on the save. So we save anywhere that you want to save. You can always save it there, and hopefully that should help. So this is how we create a workbook. So at least I believe I've covered how to create a new workbook, how to use the values and the labels. So the labels, like I said, these are the labels that you give. You can decide to let it be at the top here, and sometimes be mindful if you type in numbers. Maybe you want to type a number here. To type numbers, and then maybe letters is, and then maybe date. Okay, I hope I spell it well. So you can have all these options. Sometimes if you customize a cell, it can affect others, but you can always come to the number function and decide what you want, whether currency, whatever you want. So in order not to rush you, I will just ignore that for now. But you have now know how to enter your values, the labels, and then how to input the dates, and then how to enter data in a range, how to restrict the range, and then maybe select by maybe various range, how to select specific cells or deselect, deselecting the cells. So I hope when you practice, maybe this will start. So this will be the end of this session, and hopefully very soon I should bring you the next session, maybe how to open and save workbook, maybe in different ways. So see you in the next session.